Running a business comes with a lot of what-ifs. But luckily, there's a simple answer to them. Shopify. It's the commerce platform behind millions of businesses, including Thrive Cosmetics and Momofuku, and it'll help you with everything you need. From website design and marketing to boosting sales and expanding operations, Shopify can get the job done and make your dream a reality. Turn those what-ifs into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
Oh, such a clutch pickup, Dave.
I was worried we'd bring back the same team.
I meant those blackout motorized shades.
Blinds.com made it crazy affordable to replace our old blinds.
Hard to install?
No, it's easy. I installed these and then got some for my mom, too. She talked to a design consultant for free and scheduled a professional measure and install.
Hall of Fame son.
They're the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings in the world.
Blinds.com is the GOAT.
The GOAT!
Save up to 50% with minimum purchase at Blinds.com. Rules and restrictions may apply.
We're shipping Father's Day gifts with a rapid-fire round of questions. Ready?
Yes. My gift. Can you pack it?
Yep.
Ship it.
Yes.
Guarantee it.
Of course.
Oh, send a set of golf clubs.
Oh, hole-in-one.
Protect electronics. Dog-proof it. Return it if they hate it.
Yes, no, and yeah.
Are you the UPS store?
Hey, we have a winner!
Visit theupsstore.com/guarantee for full details. Most locations are independently owned. Product, services, prices, and hours of operation may vary. See Center for details. The UPS Store. Visit a store today.
The NBA playoffs are here, and I'm getting my bets in on FanDuel. Talk to me, Chuck GPT. What do you know?
All sorts of interesting stuff, even Charles Barkley's greatest fear.
Hey, nobody needs to know that.
New customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets if you win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook.
21 plus and present in select states. Must be first online real money wager. $5 deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Thanks for listening to the Red Treehouse, where I tell scary stories to keep you up at night. You can listen to the Red Treehouse on your favorite streaming platforms. Be sure to follow, like, and subscribe. Oh, and leave a 5-star review. And now, you can find the Red Treehouse on Patreon. Join the Red Treehouse community for as little as $3 per month and receive exclusive member benefits. Simply go to patreon.com/Red Treehouse. Important note: sources for this episode can be found in the show notes. The Red Treehouse is dedicated to my dad. I love you, Pop. In this episode of the Red Treehouse, I'm going to read part 2 of The Second Sister, an original short horror story by L.G. Wells. A reminder that you can find the links to his Substack and social media accounts in the show notes. Be sure to follow him. Now it's time to sit back, turn down the lights, pull up the covers, and pay close attention as I read The Second Sister by L.G. Wells. I'm your host, Will. Welcome to the Red Treehouse. The Second Sister, Part 2. It wasn't a doll. For a horrifying, stomach-lurching moment, Lily's mind refused to process what her eyes were seeing in the stark, unforgiving beam of her phone. Then, reality crashed down on her with the force of a physical blow. Lying on the stained, yellowed mattress of the crib was a small skeleton. The tiny, fragile bones of an infant lay on its back, its delicate ribcage starkly visible, its impossibly small arms splayed open to the sides as if in a grotesque, welcoming embrace. The empty sockets of its skull stared blankly upwards. It was a sight of such profound, abject horror, that a silent scream clawed its way up Lily's throat, choking her. But it was what held the skeleton in place that sent a fresh, electrifying wave of terror through her, so potent it nearly buckled her knees. Driven deep into the mattress, 3 antique hat pins desecrated the tiny remains. One with a jet black orb for its head, and another capped with an amethyst crystal were viciously plunged into each of the infant's empty eye sockets, as if to blind it even in death. The third, its head a luminous pearl, was driven straight through the center of the fragile ribcage, pinning the torso to the crib. Hat pins, no hat. The horrific wave crashed over Lily, making her stomach clench violently. Then the confirmation, cold and sickening. These pins were an exact, terrifying match to the set she had just discovered. The small wooden box containing them, now heavy and alien in her trembling hand. This grotesque tableau wasn't a shrine to a doll, no matter how prized. This was a tomb, a prison. This was the horrifying creation born of an obsession that had twisted far beyond any doll fetish. This was something truly unspeakable. The air she was trying to drag into her lungs felt like shards of ice. The oppressive weight of the basement, the cloying smells, the whispers of her aunt's madness, it all crashed down. The photograph in her pocket suddenly felt like a brand against her skin. The box of pins in her hand, a venomous weight, a tangible piece of the nightmare before her. Oh God, oh God, oh God! Pure undiluted terror flooded her senses. Lily recoiled, stumbling backward, her phone clattering from her nerveless fingers to the filthy concrete floor, its beam spinning wildly before extinguishing, plunging her into absolute, suffocating darkness. The small wooden box of pins slipped from her grasp simultaneously, hitting the ground with a soft, almost lost thud. A soft, animalistic sound tore from her throat. She had to get out. Now.
Whatever the occasion, effortless elegance is right this way. Because Hilton brings you new ways to stay courtesy of the Nomad London. And it doesn't stop at award-winning dining in a space draped in velvet and illuminated by vintage chandeliers. No, this day goes beyond with unparalleled personalized service and attentive hospitality. Oh, and did we mention the Nomad London can be booked using your Hilton Honors points at Hilton.com? Hilton, for the stay.
This episode is sponsored by Friskies, who would like to tell your cats hi. Now, if that didn't get your cat's attention, there's one thing that always does the trick. Just pour some Friskies crunchy food in the bowl and you'll hear those paws come running. Works every time. With so many Friskies choices, you can always bring your cats running from their secret napping spots. There's always more to explore. See for yourself at friskies.com or visit your local store.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso and Samra Origins by The Weekend Coffee Collection.
Introducing Samra Origins. My collaboration with Nespresso is a connection to my roots, to my mother, Samra. Coffee that hits the right notes. It transports you. Crafted with unique notes and bold, soaring flavors. Experience a taste that moves you. Nespresso and Samra Origins.
Discover more at Nespresso.com.
This episode is brought to you by San Pellegrino. A meal isn't just about what's on your plate. It's about what you bring to the table. San Pellegrino believes the table is where the best of life happens. That's what makes gathering around it so rich and rewarding. And with their unique sparkling natural mineral water, San Pellegrino brings its best so you can bring yours.
Hey, it's Bill Simmons from the Bill Simmons Podcast. The NBA playoffs are here, and Michelob Ultra is getting you closer to the game than ever with courtside seats and more. Enter now at MichelobUltra.com/courtside. Michelob Ultra Superior Access Courtside 2024 to 2025 sweepstakes. No purchase necessary. Open to U.S. residents 21 or older. Ends on July 1st, 2025. Multiple entry periods. Visit MichelobUltra.com/superior access/courtside for free entry deadlines, and official rules. Message and data rates may apply. Void where prohibited.
In the suffocating blackness, Lily flailed, scrambling backward from the direction of the crib, her hands outstretched, desperate to find the wall, anything to guide her. The image of that tiny, pinned skeleton was seared onto the inside of her eyeballs, a horrifying afterimage in the darkness. The photograph in her pocket suddenly felt like a burning coal against her thigh, but the box of pins was gone, lost on the filthy floor with her extinguished phone. There was no thought of retrieving them, only an overwhelming, primal need to flee. She stumbled, her shin cracking against something hard and unyielding, one of the shadowy heaps of junk. A gasp of pain, quickly swallowed by terror. Her hands found a rough, damp wall, and she pressed herself against it, crab-walking, feeling her way blindly towards where she thought the stairs were. Every rustle of unseen debris, every imagined creak from the darkness around her, sent fresh waves of panic through her. The earthy, acrid smell of the basement felt like it was choking her, filling her lungs with the scent of decay and madness. Finally, her outstretched hand hit the rough wood of the staircase. Sobbing for breath, she lunged for it, her feet finding the bottom step. She clawed her way up the narrow, treacherous stairs in the pitch dark, each step a groan of rotting wood beneath her, her hands scraping against the splintered walls for balance. It felt like an eternity, a desperate climb out of a grave. Her breath hitched in painful rasps as she burst through the doorway at the top, stumbling out of the Stygian blackness of the basement and back into the oppressive, but blessedly visible, gloom of the main floor hallway. The slivers of dusty light filtering through the drawn living room curtains seemed almost blinding after the absolute dark. Out. Just get out of this house. She nearly sobbed with relief as her hand closed around the cool, smooth surface of the front doorknob. But as she twisted, nothing happened. It was stuck, firmly. No. She'd opened it easily enough to get in. She rattled it violently, her rising panic a cold fist clenching in her chest. A sudden, bone-deep chill swept through the entryway, so intense it was like stepping into a walk-in freezer. The fine hairs on her arms and the back of her neck prickled. The scent of lilac and dust was abruptly, sickeningly, overpowered by that acrid, smoky smell from the basement, now thick and cloying, as if 1,000 unseen sensors were burning all around her. What is happening? The already feeble light filtering through the heavy living room curtains seemed to dim further, the dusty slivers of afternoon sun doing little to dispel the oppressive atmosphere. Shadows in the room deepened, coalescing in the corners, seeming to writhe with a life of their own. A floorboard creaked upstairs, slow, deliberate, then another, closer to the stairwell. Lily froze, every instinct screaming. What was that? A chilling thought surfaced. Someone else is in the house. Her mind raced. Squatters, or worse. She'd heard horrifying stories, people breaking into the recently vacated homes of the deceased and stealing them blind, oftentimes before the coffin was even lowered. The sudden, terrifying realization that she might be trapped in this decaying labyrinth with someone of nefarious intent sent a wave of icy dread through her. The deliberate slowness of the creaks wasn't just unnerving. It felt predatory, as if whatever was up there was aware of her, perhaps even hunting. Panic clawed at her. The front door. She lunged at it again, yanking frantically at the stuck knob, rattling it with all her might, then banging her fists against the solid wood in a desperate, futile attempt to break free. "Let me out! Let me out, you fucking house!" The words were a choked sob, swallowed by the oppressive silence of the house. It wouldn't budge, sealed as if by some unseen force. "Going somewhere?" The voice rasped from behind her, dry as bone, cold as the grave. It paused, then spat out, each syllable coated with a palpable distaste, as if the name itself were an obscenity on her dead tongue. "Lilith?" The sound of her full, rarely used name sent a jolt of pure, violating thread through Lily. It was a name her mother had always sidestepped, a name that now felt like a brand. Lily whirled around, her heart leaping into her throat. From the shadowed arch of the stairwell, the figure had emerged. It glided with unnatural grace, a tall, gaunt silhouette in the same faded black dress Lily had seen in the trunk. As it stepped into a sliver of weak light, Lily's breath hitched. Aunt Beatrice, or what remained of her. Her skin, like old parchment, stretched taut over sharp cheekbones. Her eyes, milky and vacant, burned with a cold, internal light. A grotesque smile stretched her lips too wide over gums nearly black against yellowed teeth, a ghastly grin of pure malice. Before Lily could react further, the ghoul that resembled her estranged aunt lifted one desiccated hand. An invisible force slammed Lily back against the front door, the very door she'd just been beating against, pinning her spread-eagled, immobile. Air left her lungs in a painful rush. She couldn't move, couldn't scream, her voice a silent, frantic bird in her throat. Aunt Beatrice glided closer, the air chilling, the scent of decay and burned herbs intensifying. In her other hand, she held a small, dark wooden box, the one Lily had dropped in the utter blackness of the basement. She paused before Lily, a glint of something horribly knowing in those dead eyes as she slowly lifted the box.
"You seem to have lost something, Lilith,"
she rasped, her voice a dry, rustling whisper. Her gaze flickered down to the box, then back to Lily's terrified face.
"Or perhaps you were just admiring my little collection too closely."
Her grotesque parody of a smile widened.
"They are rather special, aren't they? Particularly when put to their true purpose."
Lily's mind flashed to the basement, the sharp sting of the jet black pin, the tiny bead of her own blood.
"That little prick,"
Beatrice continued, her voice laced with a chilling satisfaction as she cradled the box.
"A drop of your essence, your life, awakening them. My protections for you were strong, woven into the fabric of this house. But blood calls to blood, and blood seals bargains anew. Your blood, Lilith, has just reopened a very old, very binding contract. It has made you accessible to him through me."
Her dead eyes seemed to flare with a strange, fervent light.
"I had a premonition, you see,"
Beatrice rasped.
"Before you were born, the second-born, your sister Eve, she was to be a gifted savior, the answer to my life's consuming question. How to cheat the endless nothing, how to truly live, to conquer the void that awaits us all."
Lily's mind spun. The photograph from the basement, two identical infant girls. Her sister's name was Eve.
"Eve was my hope,"
Beatrice hissed, her face contorting with an ancient agony.
"And she lived, Lilith. She drew breath, her eyes opened to this world. We held her. There was even time for a photograph."
A strange knowing look flickered in her dead eyes.
"That single image told a truth I already suspected. Eve, her tiny soul a pure, gentle light. And you, Lilith, even then you were the shadow beside her, marked by darkness. A different destiny."
A shadow, profound and terrible, crossed her dead features again.
"But her hold on this life was so fragile, so cruelly brief. Days, mere days, and she was stolen away as quickly as she'd arrived. Your parents grieved, prepared to surrender her to the earth. But I..."
Her voice cracked, a dry rasping sound full of old fury and despair.
"I could not. Not after she had been. Not my Eve, my answer."
Her eyes flicked toward the basement door.
"So, while their hearts were breaking, I brought her here. I was determined to reclaim her, to make her stay. I knew the old ways, the rituals whispered in forbidden texts, powers that could mend the flesh, recall a spirit. Down there.
She gestured vaguely.
In her nursery, I toiled, and he came.
A tremor of ancient fear and awe shook her voice.
Drawn by my grief, my rage, the sheer force of my will to defy death itself, he promised me Eve.
Beatrice whispered, the words freighted with old horror.
He said he could make her breathe again, live again, as if the darkness had never touched her. The price seemed so small then. Your soul, Lilith, a dark flicker, for your sister's complete resurrection.
Lily's heart hammered, a trapped, frantic thing. This was a nightmare beyond any imagining.
And for a time,
Beatrice's voice cracked.
A horrifying, unnatural time. He feigned success. She moved, opened her eyes.
A dark, wet sound, almost a sob, escaped Beatrice's lips.
But it was a monstrous parody, Lilith. A hollow shell, animated by his cruel magic. Her eyes vacant, her true spirit still lost. A decaying puppet.
Her voice rose to a shriek.
Then, even that abomination, he let crumble to bone and dust before my eyes, laughing as he claimed Eve's soul for his own, and reminded me that yours was still forfeit.
Black tears, thick like tar, Weldon traced paths down her sunken cheeks.
My ritual, my desperate attempt to reclaim Eve, had not only failed her, but had also sealed your doom. He played me for a fool and would take you both.
A different fire, one of bitter defiance against the demon she had so foolishly summoned, seemed to briefly reanimate her dead features.
He had twisted my hope into his ultimate prize. I could not save Eve then, but I vowed he would not have you so easily, Lilith, shadow or not without a further price. So I offered another deal.
She choked out, her form trembling.
My soul, to face the torment he delights in exchange for yours to be shielded, to guard you from his claim. For decades, I held him at bay, a bulwark of my own suffering against his hunger, even from beyond my own miserable death. But his power is relentless, his torment persuasive.
Her grin returned, wider, more unhinged than ever.
He desires what he was promised, and now with your blood anointing the conduit, my wards are broken, my sacrifice undone.
Her voice dropped to a conspiratorial, almost gleeful whisper.
He'll have your soul, Lilith, and I will be free from that dreadful pact.
She opened the box reverently, her gaze fixed on the 3 pins nestled within.
Pretty things,
she crooned, her voice a dry whisper that seemed to curl around the words.
Instruments of transition, now fully awakened by your touch.
Her gnarled fingers, surprisingly steady, selected the amethyst-headed pin. She held it up, turning it slightly so its facets caught the dim, morbid light, a flicker of something akin to dark reverence in her dead eyes. Her grotesque smile faded into an expression of chilling, almost devout seriousness.
Amethyst,
she intoned, her voice dropping to a low, resonant pitch that carried the awful weight of conviction.
This one is for true sight.
She paused, her milky gaze seeming to pierce through Lily's tightly shut eyelids, focusing on something beyond mere flesh. Then, as if uttering a sacred, terrible tenet of her dark faith, she declared,
The soul resides in the eyes, Lilith. They are the windows, the very gateways, to what he so eagerly awaits.
Hey, Fidelity. What's it cost to invest with the Fidelity app?
Start with as little as $1 with no account fees or trade commissions on U.S. stocks and ETFs.
That's music to my ears.
I can only talk.
Investing involves risk, including risk of loss. Zero account fees apply to retail brokerage accounts only. Sell order assessment fee not included. A limited number of ETFs are subject to a transaction-based service fee of $100. See full list at fidelity.com/commissions. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
This episode is brought to you by GMC. GMC certified service technicians are factory trained to fit your vehicle with the tires specifically developed for it. And with our tire price match guarantee, you get the best fit for the best deal. Let us do the work. Available on select eligible tire brands at participating dealers only. Offer ends 12/31/2025. Terms apply. See dealer for complete details. Visit gmc.com/service to learn more.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
The words hung in the dead air, a pronouncement of doom. Beatrice advanced, the amethyst pin held before her like a consecrated weapon. Lily squeezed her own eyes shut even tighter. A futile defense, her entire being a silent internal scream against the inevitable. She felt the cold point touch her eyelid.
Open them, dear niece.
The dead voice whispered.
Witness your offering.
Pressure, a blinding, searing agony as the pin slid home. Light exploded, then merciful blackness in one eye. The world dissolved into a vortex of pain and terror. Through the red haze of what remained of her vision, she saw, or rather sensed, Beatrice select the second pin, the one with the jet-black orb. The ghoul turned it over in her skeletal fingers, its dark surface seeming to drink the already feeble light.
And this one?
Beatrice's voice was a sibilant whisper, a dry rustle against Lily's remaining ear.
This deep blackness, forged in the fires of earth, obsidian, a stone of potent protection for the empath, to shield the tender soul from the world's cruelties.
She paused, and Lily could almost feel the cold malice in her unseen smile.
But in his hands, Lilith, there is no empathy, only the void reflecting your own soul, a perfect, undisturbed darkness.
Though her body was pinned, unyielding, Lily's spirit recoiled violently within her, a silent scream against the inevitable. The cold point pressed against her other eyelid, unleashing a fresh universe of agony, a final starburst of pain, and then nothing. Absolute, consuming blackness. The world once seen was now a memory lost to an endless night. Pain was Lily's entire universe now, a searing, blinding reality that clawed at her, threatening to tear her apart. Consciousness was a tattered, fraying thread. Her awareness had shrunk to the throbbing agony in her skull, the useless terror that flooded her paralyzed limbs, and the suffocating darkness that pressed in from all sides. She was a trapped animal, broken and waiting for the end. From somewhere beyond the roaring torment in her head, Lily perceived a soft, satisfied sigh, then the faint rustle of fabric. Unseen by Lily, the ghoul that was her Aunt Beatrice seemed to bask in her gruesome handiwork.
Perfect.
The dead voice breathed, laced with a horrifying, serene contentment that somehow pierced Lily's haze of pain. A contentment that spoke not only of a dark task nearly completed, but of an agonizing fate about to be sidestepped.
A perfect sacrifice. The path cleared by your own blood. My desperate efforts for your sister, they only serve to draw his gaze, to whet his appetite. But you, Lilith, with your life still pulsing so strongly within you, your spirit still so bright with untasted years, you are the vibrant, potent offering he has truly waited for. And with your soul delivered, I will be spared the torment he designed for mine. He will be so pleased, and I will be free.
A slight pause followed. Then, though Lily could not see the horrifying grace of the action, and Beatrice's skeletal fingers moved with chilling reverence, gently extracting the third and final pin, the one topped with the luminous pearl, from the small wooden box she cradled. The air, already thick with the metallic tang of Lily's blood and the faint acrid scent of burnt herbs, seemed to grow heavier still, charged with a terrible, silent anticipation.
And now for the final anointing.
Beatrice's voice resumed, a chillingly intimate whisper that seemed to drill directly into Lily's fading consciousness.
The pearl, a symbol of purity, is it not? And what is more purely coveted by him than a spirit brimming with such potent life, Lilith? A vitality he will now claim as his own.
The question hung in the air, unanswered, unanswerable. Though Lily was adrift in a sea of pain and encroaching blackness, she felt an almost imperceptible, feather-light touch against the thin fabric of her shirt, directly over her frantically beating heart. A cold dread, sharper than any physical pain she had yet endured, pierced through her fading awareness. It was the point of the pin. Beatrice was tracing it there, a cold, deliberate caress.
Such a fragile cage for a bird so exquisitely vibrant.
The whisper slithered into Lily's ear, intimate and grotesque.
It flutters so desperately now, doesn't it? He particularly savors the beat of a heart so full of life, especially in the moments just before it stills for him forever.
The pin pressed a fraction harder, a tiny, cold promise.
This is where the offering is made complete, Lilith, where your vibrant life becomes his eternal feast, and my own suffering ceases.
Lily, lost in her world of pain and encroaching oblivion, was blind to it. But had her eyes still functioned, she would have witnessed a new horror take root in the decaying house. From beneath the ill-fitting basement door, at the far end of the hallway, thin black tendrils of smoke, darker than any natural shadow, began to creep and uncoil. They didn't rise and dissipate like normal smoke, but slithered across the dusty floorboards like sentient, searching things, stretching, writhing purposefully towards the ghastly tableau at the front door. As these oily ribbons of darkness reached Aunt Beatrice's feet, they seemed to almost caress the hem of her faded black dress, twining upwards like shadowy vines. A low, guttural sigh escaped Beatrice's lips then, a sound no longer of mere satisfaction, but of a deep, almost ecstatic communion. Her already ghastly grin seemed to widen further, her vacant eyes flaring with even more intense, unholy light, as if she were drawing some dark power or unspeakable pleasure from their touch. Then, the toying ended. The light pressure suddenly became a focused, brutal thrust. From Lily's perspective, even in her sightless, fading state, the sensation was absolute. A sharp, stabbing cold punched through her chest, in agony so profound it eclipsed even the torment in her eyes. It wasn't a quick pain, but a spreading, glacial freeze that seemed to instantly leach all warmth, all feeling from her core. She felt a distinct, horrifying giving way deep within her chest, followed by an icy numbness that radiated outwards, down her limbs, up her neck, silencing the frantic roar of her own blood in her ears. The last ragged beat of her heart stuttered, faltered, then seemed to dissolve into the encroaching cold. Her last breath, a shallow, hitched gasp, caught in her throat, unreleased. The darkness behind her ruined eyes was no longer just the absence of light. It became a vast, consuming emptiness, a final, silent oblivion, a dream, or rather a nightmare, of Lilith. The Baltimore Chronicle, Tuesday, May 20th, 2018. Bolton Hill Inferno claims unidentified victim. Arson suspected in rapidly spreading blaze. By Arlie Reynolds, staff reporter. Baltimore, Maryland. A historic Bolton Hill residence, recently left vacant by the passing of its elderly owner, was consumed by a ferocious fire late yesterday afternoon. Authorities have confirmed the discovery of human remains within the gutted structure, though the victim has yet to be identified due to the severity of the blaze. The Baltimore City Fire Department received the first of several emergency calls at approximately 5:30 p.m. Monday, reporting smoke and flames erupting from the home on Landvale Street. Units arriving on the scene found the large two-story property already heavily engulfed, with flames spreading at an alarming rate. The intensity of this fire was significant from the outset, stated a BCFD spokesperson. Crews worked diligently to contain it and protect adjacent structures. Once the fire was extinguished, investigators discovered a single set of human remains in the debris. Due to the extreme nature of the fire, visual identification is not possible at this time. The spokesperson added, "The medical examiner's office will conduct a full forensic analysis. The cause of the blaze is currently under intense scrutiny. While the dilapidated state of the older home is being considered, officials have noted the rapid escalation and extreme heat of the fire are indicators that have led them to include arson as a primary line of inquiry." David Markham, an attorney representing the estate of the home's owner, Miss Beatrice Taylor, who passed away just last week, confirmed that Miss Taylor's niece, Miss Lily Hayes, a 31-year-old Baltimore resident, was expected to be at the property. Miss Hayes was beginning the process of sorting through her aunt's personal effects, Markham said. "She was a responsible young woman, and we are profoundly concerned. Her vehicle was found parked at the scene. We are awaiting any news from the authorities and have offered our full cooperation." Neighbors reported seeing Miss Hayes at the property earlier on Monday. Most were alerted to the situation only when smoke and flames became visible. "It went up so fast," said one nearby resident. "It's a terrible tragedy." Fire investigators were still on scene this morning and have appealed for anyone with information to come forward. What did you think of this terrific short horror story? A huge shout out to LG Wells for submitting it for narration. As we turn down the lights on this episode, join me next time as I read A Collection of Short Horror Stories, Volume 5. I'm your host, Will. Thanks for joining me in the Red Treehouse.